Formula One is officially back on track, but this time in incognito mode. The name is Bond, James Bond. So what just happened at the Barcelona Shakedown test, and why should you care? In 2026, we're going into brand new F1 regulations, which means that teams have not had any lap time in these cars. Teams come to the paddock with new engines, brand new aero rules, and arguably the biggest regulation shift in years. And I hate to be the one to say it up front, but this was not about who was fast, it was about reliability and mileage. After all, in this first test, the one who walks away with the most data is the one who wins. So what were the surprises? I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't have a lot of faith going into these new regulations. Like, after so much change, you would expect a lot of breakdowns and a lot of learning to be happening on track. Well, the first surprise was, believe it or not, the reliability was excellent. And don't get me wrong, some of that happened, but teams seemed to put in lap after lap with very few mechanical dramas. There was one team that even logged more mileage on day one than the entire field did on the first day of testing in 2014. And if you don't know, 2014 was a year of similarly big rule changes, so I feel like the comparison kind of works out. But if there are any takeaways from the reliability over the Shakedown, I would say that it's that the new era isn't fragile, it's rather durable. And I think for all the teams, that is a relief. So what about the drivers, the cars, how did they do at the Barcelona Shakedown? It's been reported that Mercedes played the long game, racking up over 500 laps, which was more than anybody else on the field. Which means that they were showing not just pace, but consistency and reliability. And I think we all know that all George Russell wants is a little bit of consistency. And of course, a championship. I think another interesting question to this year is going to be how Kimi Antonelli keeps up with George Russell. His rookie season is over and he has a little less flexibility to go out there and make mistakes. And I want to give an honorable mention to Haas because they ran over 400 laps, which is not far behind Mercedes, which means that they are going home with plenty of good data. It's been reported that Lewis Hamilton ended up fastest overall on the final day with a 1:16.348, which is a very strong indicator given the brand new machinery. I do want to mention that any lap time I reference comes from a outlet that is reporting on private behind closed door running, and there's no official FIA published timings. So if anybody tells you that they have a confirmed pace order, I would just be a little bit skeptical. After a whole 50 days, Lando Norris finally got back in the car as a world champion. I'm sure that just has to feel good for him. Was he out there running any victory laps? Probably not, but you gotta remember that productive baseline running and data for development was the goal in this test, and McLaren seemed to deliver on it. And last but not least, I think it is worth mentioning Red Bull because they did have a little setback. It's been reported that Isaac Hadjar, who was promoted to Red Bull this year, crashed in wet conditions. Luckily, there was no reported injury, but the crash did eat into the runtime, especially given that Red Bull only showed up with one car. And if you didn't already know, private running, filming days, and restricted tests are governed so that each team only runs one car on a track at any given time, which pretty much just means that teams do not run two cars simultaneously like they do on race weekends. That being said, teams are physically allowed to bring more than one chassis. As some of you may have heard, there was a no-show in the paddock for the Barcelona Shakedown. That's right, Williams was not present. I feel like they're that Homer Simpson meme where he's just like backing up into the bush. I gotta admit, I was pretty upset to hear about this one, especially given all the momentum they've carried over the last couple of years. Sainz had a great year last year, Albon had a great year last year, and you just want to keep that momentum going. And while this was just the first test, they're going to be playing catch up all the way through Bahrain. I mean, come on, Williams, this is supposed to be your year. This is not the time to show up without a car. They didn't even show up without a car, they just didn't show up. And the last thing I'll mention on this is that it kind of underscores how tough these new regulations have been to execute. Just because we see multiple teams out there with great reliability doesn't mean that it hasn't been a tough road getting there. But I think that's where the exciting part comes in. New regulations allow for new innovation and new invention. And that's how these cars just keep getting faster and better. I just wish they were a little bit smaller. So what could the Barcelona Shakedown mean for the 2026 F1 season? And these are really more guesses or chatterings than anything. Number one, Mercedes might be back. They're showing strong mileage, no drama, and complete programs. Before we even got to 2026, there was a lot of rumors about the Mercedes power unit, and so it'll be interesting to see how that transpires. Kimi Antonelli is more seasoned now, and George is ready for a championship. I don't know, you tell me, are the Mercedes days coming back? I certainly think it is possible. Number two for me would be that Ferrari seems to have potential. If Hamilton's reported pace is accurate, true, and continues coming, then I think Ferrari and Hamilton fans are going to have a much better season. And I have to admit, I think the Ferrari looked pretty sweet out there. And number 3, Red Bull seems to be doing surprisingly well with their new power unit in partnership with Ford. This is a brand new engine and one that Red Bull is developing for the first time in their entire history. And while Isaac's crash could be looked at as a setback, I think the more important note here is that Red Bull got over 600 laps between both teams. And that is surely a lot of data to go home with. Number 4, Aston Martin and the newbie era could be starting off on a slow foot. It's been reported that they showed up late for testing, but that they're on track now. But either way, they are going home with less data than a lot of the teams on field. But I personally still have high hopes for the newbie era going into 2026. I just think that they need to get rid of one driver. And I think you might know who that is. And number 5, Williams so far seems to be the wild card. I mean, at the end of the day, no laps means no clues. And while lap times this early in testing are not indicative of the season to come, I still think it was a major loss for Williams to not be at the first test. And I'm just praying that we see good things to come in Bahrain. And if I were to leave you with anything, it's that this week wasn't about speed. It was about understanding new aero, battery integration, energy recovery, and reliability across completely redesigned cars. Showing up and getting the data was the win. Alright, well, Barcelona is done and Bahrain is up next, and I think that's where we're going to start seeing the real clues. Okay, well, maybe not for Test 1 in Bahrain because it is yet again a private event, but we should be able to see some live coverage soon on February 18th for the second test in Bahrain, and I am going to be looking forward to that. Peace out, Cub Scouts.